the party itself?
It's a good starting point, but it doesn't necessarily have to be ending point. I think it's a good negotiating point. So I believe that every leader going in would like to be leader. You have eight
Mm-hmm.
people in parliament now, and I think all eight of them would like to be leader of something. But the fact is that they can't. So she can go in with the expectation that she should be leader. But I think that once you come out, you may very well have a slightly different understanding. And certainly, when you look at the way the team unity was formed, the first thing that they prioritize is getting together and having a solid union, a solid agreement, which they would have carved out in Nevis. And then having that in place, then you can essentially look around to see who is the best person to lead and you make your decisions on that basis. So I would say, yeah, do that. You can have a conversation about leadership, and then you make a decision in terms of who should lead, and thereafter who the chips so far where they made. So yeah, I heard her with that, but I wondered whether maybe that was more a negotiating position as opposed to anything else.
Maybe excitement.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are persons on the grounds are saying that they want another party. St. Kitts is only 68 square miles with possibly 50, 60,000 people, if so much. Do you
Mhm.
think we really ready for a third party?
I don't think that you need a third party. I think that you have three political parties. No, it's five because you have the two in Nevis, you have the
Correct.
three on St. Kitts. I think that that's enough. A population the size of St. Kitts doesn't need that many political parties. And frankly, one of my dreams has always been to see a collapse of the parties into one. So you have into two, well, into two. So you basically would have an alignment on tickets and Nevis of political entities where they would function as one. So in Antigua and Barbuda, the Antigua Barbuda Labour Party is ABLP represents candidates on both. And I remember in St. Kitts and Nevis, that's probably how it was before, but it's no longer the case. So my thing would be the optimum number of political parties for St. Kitts and Nevis is two. I don't believe you need a new one. I think that what people would like to see is political entity that functions harmoniously. And maybe it will become one of the two. But I think that more realistically, the situation will emerge in which you have a coalition of interests
Mm-hmm.
that can essentially morph into a political union. And I always tell people the People's Action Movement, sorry, the PNM in Trinidad and Tobago was once a coalition of political interests. The Unity, sorry, ULP in St. Kitts and Nevis in St. Vincent and the Grenadines was once a group of political entities that came together and formed a union. In the UPP in Antigua was also a group of various other entities that came together and formed. And I think it's possible that in years to come you may have some union emerging in St. Kitts and Nevis out of all of these different parts. And people will forget that it was once several different political entities.
I think here in St. Kitts and Nevis, there's a lot of persons in different parties or groups. And some of them, anything to form a team, it's
Mhm.
not necessary because they're in a team, they're going to get along. But it's
Mhm.
better if you're in a team and you really have persons that want to be politicians for the right reason, not just to go up and just get the job, but actually to be active in the communities, in some of the parties, but they're scared to jump ship. So I think that Sinkis is not really, I would not say that we're not ready for it, but I think that some of the politicians need to be a little bit more honest. And if you're basically going to be in a party and you know that you're not going to be of a team, you should not be in a group trying to undermine the party. Because you see what happened to the previous party.
Yeah, but at the same time, Lavi, you can't. You may want to argue that, and I agree with you that you may want to be bold and step, but the thing is that you don't jump off a ship and step onto a canoe. And I think that that's the problem a lot of political players in St. Kitts and Nevis face. you may be sailing on a ship that appears to have some challenges and it may have some holes and it may need some patching up. But the point is that you may figure that you jump out, you may find yourself in a canoe that is doing far less well.
Correct.
And I can't blame a politician that says, I'm not jumping until I feel something is safe for me to jump onto because I'm not going to do that. And one could argue that that was one of the mistakes that Pam made, that you found politicians jumping ship and they didn't know that there was anything to catch them. So they jump off of a ship that was, albeit imperfect, and they're in a situation that is far less beneficial. So I get it that politicians need to be careful when they jump in to make sure that there's a seaworthy vehicle out there waiting to catch them.
Also, Peter, some of the things that I'm saying here is basically because, this is voices for the voiceless. So it's not necessary
Mm,
that coming from me because I am not a politician, but evidently I'm an entrepreneur and I've
mm,
been around long enough to understand certain things. But there's definitely a situation in our small Caribbean island, especially in St. Kitts, where some of these people that are going in for political leaders,
mm,
they are not doing much to when it comes to training so they can get better because leaders are not born. Leaders are something that built. Do you see that
mm.
this is something that is happening across the Caribbean where we're having a lot of incompetent people that are being in positions, as one would say, square pegs in round in, in round holes?
I don't know if that's anything new. I think that we've always had situations where people who were probably not the best to lead have been leading, and then you've had poor fits in relation to political entities. So I think it's something that happens in the Caribbean a lot. It's not necessarily new. The feeling that there's a preponderance of square pegs and round holes now is something that I've heard. I've heard in the politics over the 20 years that I've been around. That yeah, you have this reality, but I don't know that it is any worse than before. In my view, my humble opinion.
Well, I got to thank you so much for coming on here tonight. Um, right now in St. Kitts and Nevis, we are facing some real serious, wow,
Challenges, yeah.
yes,
Mm,
and it is not good. We're
mm,
having people are taking matters into their hands. We see that
mm,
on you know, the bigger countries and everything. And this is a small place. Everybody are related. And at the end of the day, mothers on both ends, if somebody go to jail, they have a mother. If somebody died, they have a mother, they have families. And it is really something that we're facing here. And it's very difficult because innocent people can get caught in, the crossfire.
mm, yeah.
For instance, my friend Sanjo, basically, I can't come here and speak all good about her because I could only speak the good that I know of about her. But I would definitely say that I know her for years. She's a hard-working woman. Um, my last moment with her was yesterday. Actually, I actually did her hair like a sister. Braid her hair, nicely grease it up and everything. And to hear a couple hours after that, she's assassinated because this is just was something that we're not accustomed to here in St. Kitts and Nevis. It's terrifying.
Mm.
Yeah. So I forgive me if you see me sound a little bit.
Mm. As I said at the beginning of the program, please accept my condolences. And St. Kitts is a small community, so any death touches so many people because there would always be that familiarity. I also know that Kittitians have walked this road before in terms of high numbers of crime, and I think that you've demonstrated a capacity as a nation to reel it in. And I hope that that will be same that this happens this time around where you will get this crime situation under control because it touches so many people when anything like this happens because of the size of the community, and it's almost as though your brother or your sister, in many instances is touched. So I remember the last crime wave was pretty bad, and I was so happy that you were able to bring things under control. I can only hope that the same thing will happen again, because petitions and innovations deserve better than this, and I do hope that they are able to understand the root causes and deal with those root causes in a way that brings peace and prosperity. Mm.
True, true. Do you have any words that you can share and insights that you want to leave here with us today? To, to anyone out there?
Well, I mean, I think a big part of the conversation that we had tonight talked about the political realities, and I certainly feel that Sikis and Nevis is a country that needs to look at their political realities in a slightly different way, and polarization and whatnot is something that needs to change. The crime situation is a primary concern on as well as the economic one. And I think that for now, maybe this is the time to kind of put the politics aside a bit and try to focus on how you can, make the federation heal a bit, coming out of it. And I would wish you all well in the process. The politics of St. Kitts and Nevis has always fascinated and interests me, and I continue to stick close. And I am interested to see how things develop over time. But at the same time, right now, I think that, yeah, you're at a point in terms of your own national development where this situation of crime is something that definitely has to be a focal point, and as a country, you need to pull together and make things work.
Wise words indeed.
Mm.
I just want to tell you thank you so much, Peter, for
Okay.
sharing your insights with us today. It was a pleasure really having you here, and I just want to tell you thank you for having me also.
Okay, it's been my pleasure to talk to you, and I hope that we can chat soon again, and that the circumstances next time around are somewhat better. So thanks
Yes,
again for having me on the program. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best with future programs of this type.
thank you so much.
Okay, my
As,
pleasure. Take care.
yes, okay. I also want to thank our listening audience for tuning in to Real Talk with Lavi. Stay informed, and we'll catch up with you on the next show. Thank you so much. St. Kitts and Nevis. Good night.